Good morning. I'm Chief Roundtree of the Winston-Salem Police Department. Thank you all for coming out and being here this morning. We're here this morning to discuss and provide information on our 2014 Unsolved Homicide Initiative. As you are aware, the city of Winston-Salem had 15 homicides in 2014. 10 of the 15 homicides for 2014 have been solved, but we're not satisfied with that. We want to solve all of them. We want to bring the individuals responsible for these crimes and remove them from our community. We want to bring closure to the families and the community that have been affected by these homicides. So we're asking for the community's support. We're asking for information from the community to assist us in this investigation. Captain Katrina Thompson, the commander of our Criminal Investigations Division, will come forward and she'll provide additional information about this initiative. Captain Thompson.
Thank you, Chief. For the year 2014, the city of Winston-Salem experienced 15 homicides. I'd like to start by expressing our deepest condolences to the families of our homicide victims. Our prayers and thoughts continue to be with you. 10 of the 15 cases have been resolved. We have active investigative leads on one case, and we're working hard to solve it. However, we have limited investigative leads in the remaining 4 cases, and we are seeking the public's help in resolving those cases. That's why we're here today. The City of Winston-Salem's Marketing and Communications Department and the Winston-Salem Police Department have partnered to produce a video which outlines the following cases. We're hoping that the public's viewing of this video will generate additional information that will result in identifying those responsible. If you have any information regarding these cases, please contact the Winston-Salem Police Department at 336-773-7700 or Crime Stoppers at 336-727-2800. Please keep in mind that by utilizing Crime Stoppers, you do not have to reveal your identity. Our first case that we're seeking information on involves the homicide of Delroy East, 38 years old, of 2730 Manchester Street. On January 3, 2014, at approximately 6:00 p.m., officers responded to found Mr. East deceased in the trunk of his vehicle, which was parked in front of his residence. He had sustained multiple gunshot wounds that caused his death. Our second case involves the homicide of Christopher Rashawn Thompson, 22 years old, at Gilmer Avenue near 25th Street. On March 23, 2014, at 3:30 a.m., our officers found Mr. Thompson deceased outside his vehicle, which was parked across the street from his residence. He had sustained a gunshot wound that caused his death. Our third case involves the homicide of Christopher Deshaun Jones, 23 years old, in the 2100 block of North Cleveland Avenue. On March 28, 2014, at approximately 9:00 p.m., our officers found Mr. Jones deceased in the roadway from a gunshot wound. Witnesses reported seeing Mr. Jones involved in a physical confrontation with several young males. Our fourth case involves the homicide of Tyron Rashad Elliott, 22 years old, at 911 East 4th Street, Apartment D. On April 17, 2014, at approximately 11:15 p.m., our officers responded and found another male shot and Mr. Elliott deceased in the apartment building from a gunshot wound. The other male survived this incident. Of the 4 cases I've just outlined, we have limited investigative leads, and we need the public's help to resolve these homicides and bring closure to the victims' families. If you have any information regarding these cases, we're asking that you please contact the Winston-Salem Police Department at 336-773-7700 or Crime Stoppers at 336-727-2800. While all of our unsolved homicide cases are priority, we selected these 4 cases to highlight for this video because they are the most recent. If successful, we will employ the same strategies for our other unsolved homicide cases. Now we will show you a short segment of the video.
During 2014, there were 15 homicides in Winston-Salem. 2 of these deaths were determined to be cases of self-defense. In 8 other cases, suspects have been identified and charged, and 1 case is being actively investigated. But despite the best efforts of the city's homicide detectives, some of these murders remain unsolved. I'm Detective Joel Morset. The police department is seeking help to find the people responsible for 4 unsolved deaths. The city's Crime Stoppers hotline allows people with knowledge of a crime to provide information without giving their name. If you or someone you know has information about the following unsolved murders, please call Crime Stoppers at 727-2800. You do not have to give your name, and if your information leads to an arrest, you may be eligible for a cash reward. On January 3rd, 2014, the nephew of Delroy East contacted the police after not hearing from his uncle for 3 days. East lived here on Manchester Street and tended to call or stop by his nephew's house at least once a day. Officers met the nephew at East's home at 11:30 a.m. A search of the house turned up no clues of his whereabouts, and the house appeared to be in order, with no signs of a struggle. However, his car was parked right here in the street.
While talking with neighbors, friends, and family members, we learned that the vehicle being parked in front was unusual. The vehicle is normally parked in the driveway. That led the nephew to be suspicious when he found the vehicle parked in front of the house.
Later that afternoon, with still no word from his uncle, the nephew decided to search his uncle's car. After looking in the passenger compartment, he opened the trunk. Inside was the body of his uncle. He had been shot to death. East, 44, was a native of Jamaica and had lived with family members in New York before moving to Winston-Salem in 2005. When East wasn't at home, he could often be found at a friend's house on Emerald Avenue. That's where he was on New Year's Eve. He left in his car that evening. Witnesses said he left alone.
Witnesses advised that they saw the vehicle here on New Year's Day. One witness advised that shortly after midnight, they saw Mr. East's vehicle drive up to the front of the house, followed by another vehicle. A driver who was not Mr. East exited out of Mr. East's vehicle, got into the other vehicle, and drove away.
An examination of East's car turned up no clues, nor did the police find any leads in his house when they gave it a closer look after finding him murdered.
As an additional aspect of developing investigative leads, we're utilizing social media in a unique fashion. I will let Marketing and Communications Director Ed McNeil explain those aspects. Upon completion of his explanation, I will be available to answer questions related to the 4 unsolved homicide investigations. Mr. McNeil.
Thank you. Good morning. When Captain Thompson brought this item to us to help with, number 1, producing the video and trying to get the word out about these 4 cases, we tried to figure out what other elements we had within our toolkits in marketing and communications to try to get the word out and really get it down into the community. And so what we did was we used some tools that we use for police and even fire recruiting. We're using social media, and what we're doing is we bought advertisements that promote this video on Facebook, YouTube, as well as digital targeting. And so I want to explain just briefly what that is. All of these homicides happened inside 2 zip codes, 27101, 27105. And so what we've done is, working with a partner called Media Placement Services, we identified a profile in that area, young people ages 18 to 24 in some instances, 18 to 30 in others. And what we're doing is taking a promotional clip of the video, and that will appear inside their Facebook within their Facebook profiles, and it will show up as a preview before they can see items that they've searched for on YouTube. So it's a traditional way that you see people doing advertising these days, and we're deploying that method to help with the cases. What we're also doing is within those 2 zip codes, Media Placement Services goes and gets sort of a snapshot of what the average 18 to 24-year-old looks at online. And so they're able to buy into a network of popular websites for that demographic. And so we bought that network, and we are having display ads to appear on their pages. So if they were searching for, say, ESPN, they want to go and look at the sports page or any other website, our ads will show up there and encourage them to see the video, and if they have information, to bring that information forward. So our priority was very clear from Captain Thompson: help find the murderers of Mr. Jones, Elliott, Thompson, and East. This is not a method that we've used in the past, but as I said, we've used it in recruiting with the police department this past year, as well as in the fire department this week, and we believe it's among the best efforts that marketing and communications can provide to help the police department in this situation. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Just before I take questions, just want to let you all know that we have a smaller version of the poster here with our 4 homicide victims on them that we are planning to take back out into the community and post in various areas so that, again, that information is out there and our citizens are reminded. Just another effort to try and solicit any information we possibly can to help identify those responsible and bring them to justice. This time, I'll take questions.
How do the families feel about this technique?
As you would imagine, the families are looking for, they've lost someone very near and dear to them, and they're looking for justice. So they are in support of any efforts that we are putting out to try and find those responsible for taking the life of their loved ones.
You mentioned if this works, you'll be applying it to other unsolved homicides. Do you have any idea how many other unsolved ones you've had in any specific time frame? Not all time, but maybe the last 5 years, 10 years, something like that?
That information is certainly available. I do not have it with me right now, but yes, we do. It is our intention, assuming that this is a successful project, that we do use the same strategy as I mentioned earlier to try and solve any of our unsolved homicides that we can.
Captain Thompson, Bob Costner, Time Warner Cable News. How are you?
Good, thanks. I hope you are.
Good, good. Talk about this. This is sort of a departure, a unique approach here.
Yes, sir. Basically, again, we're living in a unique world. A lot of our young people know that digital media is the way to go. A lot of people don't necessarily read the newspaper as much as they had in the past, but everybody is on some sort of electronic device. People are still watching TV a lot. But again, we just thought that this was the best opportunity to capitalize on every possible resource that we have available to try and identify those responsible and bring closure to the families of our victims.
Is this effort unique to Winston-Salem, or has it been tried in some other places around the country or the state?
I am not familiar with it being tried anywhere else, but that would be a question that and I'm getting the no sign from Director McNeil.
This is for 2014. What about past cases? Are you guys thinking about maybe going back a little?
As I mentioned earlier, that we do plan to use this strategy again for our other cases, should this work out in the way that we're certainly hoping that it will. And we chose these cases because they are the most recent, and statistically speaking, our chances of solving cases are better the closer you are to the incident occurring.
And then I wanted to ask you too, a lot of these cases, seems like guns were involved, shootings were involved for most of these. Is that kind of a trend with some of these homicides that you guys are seeing, gun-related?
I've been working for Winston-Salem for 21 years, and prior to that lived in Detroit. And it was not uncommon at all for guns to be used as a method of committing a homicide.
Is that something that I guess investigators are looking at more in regards to that? Or?
Actually, last year, we had a decrease in the number of homicides that were committed using guns. As you probably are aware, we had a gun buyback effort or initiative that took a lot of guns off the street. So, again, our department is taking advantage of every possible resource to try to reduce violent crime, especially those where weapons of a firearm is being used.
Hi, Michael Huell, Winston-Salem Journal. I want to make sure I was clear on something. 14 homicides last year, 15 homicides last year. The arrests in 10?
There's been 10 that's been solved, yes.
Oh, okay. And then you mentioned that there was one case.
There's one case that we hadn't made an arrest in, but we're still following investigative leads on. Again, we're asking if anyone knows who's responsible or have any information that can help us identify those that are responsible to please contact us. We have phone lines available 24 hours a day. They can contact our Crime Stoppers at, again, 336-727-2800, and they can remain anonymous. Thank you.